Yeah, I wanted to provide you some notes on ePortfolios as you're thinking about your teaching portfolio. Working with an ePortfolio system to document your progress in the Teaching and Learning Certificate Program, and as you're thinking about what tool or platform to use for that. The first thing to consider is how ePortfolios relate to the learning management system. So the LMS, of course, is very much focused on courses. It's all built around courses and how instructors can use the spaces that they have in the course in the learning management system to set up a series of learning activities and resources for their students. It's really all about managing the course from the instructor's perspective and providing an environment in which students can collaborate. It's really kind of based on the semester and may or may not be the tool that you want to use to support lifelong learning. ePortfolios, in my mind, are very complementary to the learning management system. ePortfolios have a focus on individuals as opposed to courses. So, generally speaking, the ePortfolio system provides you a place where you can, as we'll look at later, collect examples of your work and reflect on what that means. By default, since ePortfolios are all about people and not courses, they have very much more a focus on ongoing reflection about learning, and therefore fit in much better to supporting lifelong learning on the part of our learners, as long as they have an access to the ePortfolio system that doesn't go away as soon as they leave our institutions. It would be important as you're thinking about ePortfolios, especially working with students, that there's some easy way to get materials from the learning management system to the ePortfolio. And in the case of course-based ePortfolios, you might want to have some mechanism for submitting those ePortfolios for assessment and comment and grading, for that matter. The very basic framework to think about when you're thinking about ePortfolios is oftentimes presented in this collect, select, reflect mantra, which has been extended by my colleague Nancy Wozniak at Stony Brook into collect, select, reflect, connect, and project. A real ePortfolio system will allow your students, whoever the user is, to assemble in an ongoing process of various artifacts of learning, or whether that be assignments from courses, whether it be your publications, just what are the things that you want to continually collect over time to show your professional development, the professional development of your students. The ePortfolio system, like I say, will allow you to collect that material and then be able to select among those collected materials to put together different ePortfolio collections for different purposes. So that repurposing of artifacts is a very important component of a real ePortfolio system. Ideally, the ePortfolio system will provide some easy mechanisms for you to reflect on that work. So you can talk about what does it actually mean. And then you can use the ePortfolio system to develop various connections, whether it's on the part of your students, how do their work examples connect to the goals, the learning outcomes of the course, or in the case of your teaching portfolio, how does the work that you're assembling connect to your professional development goals. Ideally, the ePortfolio system as well will give you the ability to share various views of ePortfolio, of your ePortfolio materials, with different audiences, with different permissions, projecting that out to different audiences as you need. So I wanted to provide you some examples of some ePortfolios in these notes so that we could begin to talk about the whole collect, select, reflect process. Here's a review portfolio that I put together a few years back, and I'll go ahead and provide a link to this in the course environment for our mini course, so that you can take a look. It's frankly kind of a boring professional ePortfolio, but it does show you the ability here to provide examples of work. So I've got syllabus and course evaluations here for a particular course. I've got my candidate statement and CV. I've got links to publication list, links to various other professional activities I've been involved with, along with some in this case, really very basic reflections on what I'm trying to show or document with these work examples, what I'm trying to accomplish in my teaching, what I see important in some of my administrative and professional activities, service to the college, etc. Just briefly, here's a course portfolio from one of my students for my Life in the Universe course. This is a Gen Ed course, so I'm asking my students to reflect on how the work they've done in the course meets the various SUNY learning outcomes. And so in this case, we've got the student submitting some documents of the work they've done in the course. This is an online course, so they've imported some discussion forum activities from the course to provide an example of their engagement in the course, and again some reflections about how his work in the course relates to the learning goals that we have for the course. Just another quick example of a student, in this case in my college writing course. Just want to point out a couple of items here. Again, there's the ability to upload documents and talk about those documents, but the ePortfolio should also be a place where you can consider or think about how to project yourself as a learner, or how you relate to your professional development. Which is one other quick technical note. This is a multi-page portfolio. So as you're thinking about portfolio systems that you want to use long-term, the ability to package together different pages of materials is something that can be quite useful. So just one last example portfolio. This again is a student portfolio, but it's from a summer program that we run here at Purchase College, where we have students coming in from our collaborator community colleges to come in for a summer research experience. And for the last several years, we've had students document their activities in the summer research programs using our ePortfolio system, and also to have various reflections about their growth as a scholar, their development of an idea of them as a member of academic community. But as you're thinking about your use of portfolios for your teaching portfolio or other professional needs, think about the kinds of materials that you could collect. It doesn't have to be just Word documents, PowerPoint presentations, and reflections, but in this case the student is putting up an image gallery that documents different aspects of the research study. Of course, there are a variety of files indicating her work, as well as the very important component of having the ability to reflect on what all that material means. As you think about developing your portfolio long term, one of the questions you should think about is what platform to use for collecting, selecting, and reflecting on your work. There are a variety of actual ePortfolio applications, but there are a variety of other tools you can use as well. In terms of ePortfolio systems that are actually in use around SUNY or under consideration, Stony Brook has, for example, done a lot of work in developing ePortfolios using Digication. At Purchase, we are currently using Mahara as an open source ePortfolio system, but there are others as well. There are some schools that are using TaskStream, more tied in some cases to some accreditation uses, PebblePad, LiveText. There's a variety of ePortfolio systems that are available. All of these would really support the kind of collect, select, reflect framework that we're talking about with ePortfolio systems. Most of these are commercial products. Mahara is, as I mentioned, an open source community developed product. One thing you will want to think about when you're thinking about ePortfolio applications is the extent to which the system is focused on supporting the individual to be reflective about their learning or professional development, versus to what extent the system is really focused on collecting institutional data for assessment. These are not mutually exclusive, but to some extent the ePortfolio systems do vary into on a longer continuum to what extent they focus on promoting individual reflective practice versus to what extent they're focused on having tools to allow a documentation of work to be applied to various assessment criteria. There are other tools that are oftentimes used for ePortfolios. I've seen many individuals and institutions that use either Google Sites or various wiki platforms like PBWiki to allow individuals to basically assemble work examples and reflections and present them in an online format. I mean, Google Sites, PBWiki, these are dedicated web publishing kinds of platforms, as is WordPress. In my mind, it's a little bit more difficult to use WordPress as a portfolio system, but yeah, I've seen I've seen it done. One thing that the advantage of these open tools like Google Sites or PBWiki is that you as an individual can easily set up spaces at any of these cloud-based services over here, and keep these for the rest of your life as you move from place to place or not. One limitation I find with these other tools is that they provide less ability to repurpose artifacts. I mean, these are tools that are basically focused on web publishing, so you can create an online presence that shows your work and allows you to talk about your work, but it's not really a place, doesn't have the kind of ePortfolio functionality of just a place to assemble materials over time and then later select among those materials and repurpose them in different uses, different combinations for different ePortfolio uses. So the whole collect, select, reflect paradigm is less supported by these open web-based tools as opposed to a real ePortfolio system. Of course, there's no licensing here with these open tools, as there is also no licensing with Mahara. If you're going to use one of these commercial products, then of course there's going to be some licensing or costs associated with that. For this ePortfolio, for the teaching and learning certificate and the ePortfolio you will be developing for that, if you are taking this mini course as part of the larger certificate, we will provide you an account on our Mahara ePortfolio system at purchase. But if you would prefer to use one of these other tools, either because you might have one of these ePortfolio commercial applications on your campus, or you're interested in having a more flexible site like a Google site that you can take anywhere you want to go, then clearly you can use those ePortfolio systems for the certificate as well. I'll provide some screen captures, some screencasts of how to do various aspects of ePortfolio development in Mahara. If for those of you who choose to go with the Mahara portfolio on our system for your ePortfolio for the certificate. But I just wanted to provide a quick overview. When you log into Mahara, you will see the dashboard page, which provides you access to tools for creating your portfolio. So in particular, the ePortfolio system has a basic file system where you can collect examples of your work. So the whole collect part of assembling work examples, and Mahara has a journaling function as well. So that journaling, so we've got collect here. The journaling is an important tool for allowing you to reflect on your work. And then there are tools that allow you to take your work examples and reflections and build portfolio pages from those materials. collect those pages into collections, and then share them out with the various audiences that you need to share those with. There are some basic social networking functionality built into Mahara as well that we really won't be using for this mini course on ePortfolios. But as I say, I'll provide some more detailed screencasts for those of you who choose to use the Mahara system on our campus for your certificate portfolio. If you decide to use something else like Digitation or Google Sites or PBWiki, there would be the ability, in generally speaking, to provide equivalent kinds of functionality within those systems.